Welcome back and welcome in to the channel. Today we have a Samuel's History Snips of a topic likely well known by pub owners and barkeeps everywhere, Prohibition. What exactly is Prohibition? The 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, known as Prohibition, was proposed by Congress on December 18, 1917, and ratified 106 years ago, January 16, 1919. Why did this come about? Alcohol had for many years been blamed by many societies and organizations for problems such as poverty, violence, and immoral behavior. In 1906, a group called the Anti-Saloon League, or ASL for short, began an agenda to ban the sale of alcohol, albeit at the state level. Their idea, put forth in their advertisements, speeches, and their demonstrations, was that the ban would solve all these problems and result in happier families, fewer workplace accidents, and an overall better functioning, more peaceful society. So how did they get this to come about? On August 1st, 1917, the Senate passed a resolution that had the verbiage that they intended to present to each of the existing 48 states for ratification, which basically just means approval. This rule stated that the production, transport, and sale of intoxicating liquors would be illegal. However, it did not make actual consumption of alcohol illegal. The vote was 65 to 20, Democrats voting 36 in favor and 12 in opposition. The Republicans voted 29 in favor and only 8 in opposition. So the resolution was sent to the states for ratification. 46 states ratified, 2 states rejected. The 2 states that rejected the amendment were Connecticut and then also Rhode Island. Now that the amendment was ratified, Congress passed the Volstead Act for the federal enforcement of this new rule. The act declared that liquor was prohibited, but also that wine and beer qualified as intoxicating liquors and were also to be included in the illegal substances. This came as a surprise to some who had previously been under the impression that beer and wine would not be lumped into all of this. So, Prohibition officially began January 17, 1920. Let's take a look at some of the results that came about. The 18th Amendment did lead to an initial reduction in alcohol consumption in the U.S. There were fewer hospitalizations for alcoholism, and there was an initial reduction in drunk-related crime. But the good could not last. People began to make their own alcohol, all starting in their bathtubs and their makeshift home distilleries. You may have heard the term bathtub gin. The rise of carelessly made, home-distilled alcohol led to an increase in deaths stemming from alcohol poisoning. Crime also began to increase because of the quote-unquote need to distribute these liquid wares to the people. This came in the form of underground speakeasy clubs and bootlegging. So let's take a look at how bootlegging played a part in this whole thing. Bootlegging, also known as rum running, had existed for centuries, but experienced a massive boom as a result of Prohibition. It started in port and border towns because of easier portability and accessibility, and quickly got picked up by organized crime mafias and gangs. Now these gangs began earning huge profits from the alcohol business. They had no trouble at all bribing police and politicians to look the other way. One of the most famous of these gangsters was Chicago's Al Capone, who reportedly earned $60 million per year from this industry. On the flip side, Hero cops like Elliot Ness also strove to maintain the balance. They would conduct wiretapping and sting operations to catch and arrest Prohibition offenders. Unfortunately, this led to crowded prisons, and as a result, cops could not arrest and lock up minor offenders because there was just no room. So they would instead charge fines to these minor offenders. Bootlegging soon became a sort of entry level into more serious criminal activity. There was a drastic increase in crimes like gambling, prostitution, narcotics, loan sharking, labor and extortion rackets, all of which continued long after Prohibition ended. Prohibition seemed to have the opposite of the desired effect to reduce crime. Although the murder rate had fallen for 2 years since the introduction of Prohibition, it soon reached record highs because of gang killings. Homicides saw an increase from 6 in 100,000 to now more than 10 in 100,000. Other crimes like assault, burglary, and theft also increased an average of 24%. Understandably, public opinion on Prohibition shifted to one of an opposing view. This had not, in fact, solved all of society's problems. It seemed to have made them worse in the long run. Aftermath. Was it worth it? The 18th Amendment was repealed by the 21st Amendment on December 5, 1933, making it the only constitutional amendment in American history to be repealed. While some good did come out of Prohibition, it was temporary, and it was quickly overshadowed by the negative activities that came from human desperation. Did people really need booze that much? Was it just boredom? Or was it just for the thrill? Whatever the reason, it demonstrates that mankind does not take well to such drastic regulation. But hindsight is 20/20, so it is easy to point fingers and say where things went wrong. So go ahead and raise a glass of your favorite beverage, and please click like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you fun content. Comment below your thoughts on the topic. What did you know about Prohibition before watching this video? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.